Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So before we get into today's drawing session, you can probably tell, but my iPad does not look the same as it did before. And the reason being is that I got a new iPad, I think in the last, week or two. So here is the new iPad. It is basically just the iPad 10.2 in the 9th generation. It is 256 gigabytes, which is what I was actually looking for. I also got a new screen protector just because I did switch tablets. Thus, I needed a new screen protector, and I didn't really want to wait for the Paperlike to come in, so I bought a different one off of Amazon. So I'll let you guys have a quick listen. Okay, so basically that is kind of the general sound of the pencil on this particular screen protector. I didn't do any audio enhancing or anything. It's just purely the mic with the gain turned all the way up, kind of recording the sound. So I believe the screen protector wow, what was that stutter? The screen protector that I'm using is a little bit more rougher, I feel like, than Paperlike. It's definitely like a lot toothier, and even like just me kind of grazing my nails kind of leaves little like white marks on the screen protector itself, which makes me feel like it's a little bit more toothier than Paperlike. Paperlike was a little bit more smoother, probably closer to true, like a true paper feel. This one definitely feels like it's gonna gnaw my pencil a little bit more. But I'll let you guys know in maybe a couple of weeks or a month or two on how much this screen protector holds up, or whether or not it really gnaws down my pencil. My pencil is showing the metal at this point, so I'm not too worried. Also, I don't really care if it scratches the screen protector. That's kind of like the purpose of the screen protector anyway. It's like, you know, supposed to keep like smudges and like scratches and like just general debris off of your actual screen. So like I don't really mind little things like scuffs or scratches to the actual screen protector. So let's talk about what I'm drawing today first, and then we'll get into why I changed iPads and why I chose the model that I chose. So yes, I am drawing my OC Maseki, and the reason being is that I haven't really been sketching digitally all too much. I think it's mostly because of the transition of one iPad to another. The transfer of files actually was quite quick, but I wanted to prepare both iPads ready for use, so I had to get a new iPad case for the old one, and then I had to get a new screen protector for this one because I was no way in heck using the new one without a screen protector. So the screen protector took about like 4 to 5 days to arrive, so I did have like a little bit of a gap, which wasn't too bad because I actually played Pokemon Violet during that duration. I also finished my sketchbook during that time, so I felt at least a little bit productive while not doing digital work. Thus, I feel rusty while drawing today's artwork. I did do like a few sketches and kind of recordings, and I scrapped all 3 of them actually, because I just wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't feeling the groove of wanting to draw, or just maybe it's the pacing of wanting to draw while recording, because I usually like to block out a certain amount of time. I'm even recording this at like 2 a.m. right now, just because of timing. So yeah, I'm drawing my OC Maseki. I kind of went on a tangent there, but yeah, Maseki holding a bag of groceries because, like I said, I wasn't drawing too much at home, and I actually was out even prior towards that. I think when I got the iPad, like the new one, it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I actually been running errands quite a bit, so I've been leaving the house, so it's just like a different amount of time I'm spending drawing, especially digitally. So yeah, I wanted to draw Maseki, kind of portraying and reflecting a little bit of that. So he's holding groceries because I actually went grocery shopping earlier today, which it will be tomorrow for you guys. And yeah, I just actually spent the day cooking for the most part instead of recording this. So I went to cook hayashi rice because I had a conversation with my mom. I'll get into that a little bit later when we get into like the rambly portion of the video. So the reason why I changed iPads is actually because of space. I know a lot of you guys were already worried about the amount of space on my iPad, and a lot of you guys always say like, why didn't you get an iPad that had more space than 32 gigs? I believe now, like if you buy the 9th generation, 32 gigs isn't even an option. I think the lowest might be 64, then it goes like 128 to 56, I think is the progression. But 64 gigs, or not 64, 32 gigs is no longer, I think, an option for the newer iPad, which is the 9th generation for this particular model, which is the 10.2. So the reason why I didn't upgrade, or like the reason why I bought the 10.2 7th generation with 32 gigs initially, was actually because it was not supposed to be, or nor did I think it was going to be, my main drawing tool, especially digitally. Prior to buying the iPad, I worked primarily on Paint Tool SI with a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet, and before that I used a Wacom just pen tablet at the time. And I think after some time I transitioned to the iPad because my mom wanted to plan a trip to go to, I think, Shenzhen, and I wanted to be able to draw for the next 10 days without having to, you know, be away from the computer kind of thing. But I didn't want to lug around a tablet and a laptop because I knew we were going to be traveling quite a bit. So an iPad was kind of like the route that I was going towards. I asked a few like mutuals on Instagram who already have iPads. All of them have iPad Pros, and they're telling me how wonderful it is to draw on Procreate on the go. So, you know, did a little bit of research, which I always highly recommend that you do your own research rather than always relying on what other people say. But it's good to kind of do like a balance of both. So let me get into that a little bit after. But that's kind of the reason why I chose the 10.2 32 gig. One, because the price point. Two, is the size. It fits into my favorite bag. Like I said, I have a certain kind of purse bag that I've had since my university days. So I knew I was going to bring that along because I didn't want to bring a backpack and lug around a laptop and a tablet. And 32 gig was mostly because the price point. At the time, my income was not as good, I guess, or as stable. So I did commissions and made like a separate amount for my commissions that were solely for purchasing an iPad, because I had about 2 months in advance that my mom was planning to go on a trip. So I set out, basically I did a few commissions that were just purely for earning money for the iPad, because I didn't want to take it away from like my current earnings, because I didn't want to take like that big of a blow to my income, because you know, iPads are expensive. Any kind of like digital device tends to be expensive. So it's like, if you're gonna make that kind of a purchase, like make it worthwhile. But I just wanted kind of like a secure measure that I wasn't gonna regret buying it. So after I bought it and doing testing and everything and changing to a more painterly style and mostly drawing on Procreate now and doing more like portraiture or like more of the anime style rather than like my chibis that I usually do on Paint Tool SI, I started to rely on the iPad so much that space became an issue. I think if you guys seen from my my Procreate gallery tour, I have a lot of illustrations done on the iPad. Almost all of them have no time-lapse footage anymore because I deleted them to keep space. And then some of my other illustrations or drawings or folders that were on Procreate are no longer on there, and they've been moved to a Google Drive. It's because I wanted to save space. Okay, so hopefully I'm not repeating myself. I just had a bunch of my voiceover just get cut off, so I do not know where I left off. But I'm assuming I didn't talk about the reason why I bought this iPad in particular versus the old one that I had, which is the 7th gen. So I didn't really care to upgrade size, and I didn't really need like something that's high performance. I know a lot of people like sing praises about the Pro. It's usually also a great price point, but for me, I'm not gonna shell out like $1,000 for a new iPad. I just don't see it necessary, especially when the 10.2 kind of models work well enough for what I want to do. And I personally really like the smaller size. I know there's an Air model that's like similar size. I know the screen size is probably a little bit bigger, or even just the model itself is just a little bit bigger, which I know a lot of people might prefer. But for me, the 10.2 9th generation was just like the perfect upgrade that I needed. I wasn't going to be using it for anything high powered in terms of like needing higher performance. I'm not doing video editing or anything like that on the iPad, nor am I taking notes, nor am I doing like anything that has like, I don't know, anything that needs to be too powerful. All I wanted to do is be able to watch videos on it, be able to use Procreate and maybe Ibis Paint every so often, be able to use my social medias on it if I need to, and be portable enough for me to carry around to continue to work on stuff if I need to, which for me, the 9th gen iPad checks all those boxes for me, as well as it being at a price point that doesn't make me feel like I'm wasting money. So, I'm trying to think what else. My old iPad. So I should have probably said this at the beginning. I'm not getting rid of my old iPad. I am giving it to my dad, who is going to be using it. He's not too much of a iPad person in general. I think in my household, my mom has the iPad Pro, and then next I have the iPad. My brother recently got one just because he had a little bit of interest in wanting to learn how to draw as well. So when he's also going to be on the go, if he goes into the office, he'll be able to work on stuff if he would like to, because he has a more interest in like digital artwork. So it's like he will work on that. And then my dad doesn't really care for the iPad too much. Like, he has his phone and he loves watching TV, so it's like that's enough for him. But I think more recently, and I think it helps that the FIFA Cup is going on, he likes watching highlight clips. He likes watching like things from matches and stuff, and like sometimes just like one-off TV shows that you find on TVB that maybe he can find online. He can use the iPad for. And sometimes when he's like at the office and stuff, doing some stuff that maybe he doesn't have access to a computer, he can have the iPad as kind of like a backup if he doesn't want to look at a tiny screen like his phone. So yeah, he just started using it today, which I find funny because I finally started to draw on the iPad like right now. Did I talk about this? I'm not too sure. So the reason why I didn't really use the iPad all too much, like I can't say too much about the screen protector because I've only sketched on it like a few times. Like I said, I've been out a lot, or at least more than usual. I've been also playing Pokemon, so that's been taking up a little bit of my time. I did finish the game, so that's that, I guess. I didn't do post game yet. I don't know if I'll spend like hours playing it. Maybe I'll just do it like sporadically. And then I finished my sketchbook, which I kind of needed to do. It was kind of nice taking a little bit of a break from doing digital work, but that also meant that I'm super rusty while returning back. And I always feel bad that I keep sacrificing Masaki to be kind of like that test subject kind of thing for any of these drawings, because he's like my comfort character in terms of like, he's quite easy to draw. I tend them to draw more soft and, you know, easy to look at in terms of the color palette and stuff, usually with flowers. Yeah, but I keep butchering him, so yeah, we'll see how long this is gonna last. Because I don't know if I like this illustration as much either. I had a few other illustrations that I wanted to do. I might do both of them off camera. So one of them is kind of like more of a background focus illustration, in terms of like at least 50% of it is background and 50% is character. So I want to focus on it, but I knew it was going to be too long for a video, because I was going to do it for a start to finish video, but I think I want to do Layla, I think, for the start to finish video. And that's why it led me to here, because I did 4 different whips that I scrapped in terms of filming. So yeah, I don't know if I answered all the things I wanted to say about the iPad. All I can say is that if you're looking to buy an iPad or any kind of tablet in general, whether or not it's just for personal use or for drawing, make sure to read reviews, make sure to do your research. And what I mean by research is like, ask yourself questions and then try finding the answers to those questions. Like, will this fit in my bag? So like, you know, measure your bag, then look up the specs and be like, okay, so this is the size that they said is like 10.2, but 10.2 is not the size of the iPad, it's like the diameter of the screen or something like that. So it's like, you know, do some proper research. Because I think other than asking for like tutorials and stuff that people usually ask, another question I get a lot is just like, is the iPad 10.27 generation 32 gigabyte iPad enough for drawing digitally? And I feel like the answer will vary for a lot of people. For me, it was definitely enough. Like I said, I got almost 3 years out of it, and I draw a lot. A lot of people ask, like, do you draw every day? I try to, if I can. Obviously, there's some days, like, if I'm out about, or playing video games instead, or just, like, relaxing, hanging out with friends, or going on camping trips and stuff, I obviously can't or won't draw. But for the most part, like, I try to draw every day. Which kind of means that I accumulate a lot of different drawings, whether or not, like, they're unfinished whips, sketches, anything like that, or just a bunch of finished artwork that I don't show. It takes up a lot of my time, so I think I got a lot out of the 7th gen with the 32 gigabytes. Do I regret buying it? No. Would it have been smarter to buy one with higher storage so I could keep using it for a longer time? Probably. But like I said, the main reason why I got 32 gig was mostly for budget. Because like I don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money just for me to use it only when I go on trips, kind of thing. And I'm a homebody. I don't leave the house too much. I only like go out if I need to run errands, my parents need me to do something, or I'm hanging out with friends or going on a trip. So I feel like trips are not going to happen that often. The most thing that I have to do is usually favors for my parents or errands, because my friends and me, because of one of them not living in the same city as we're in right now, we don't hang out as often as before. Before, I think we would hang out at least like every 2 weeks or so, at least like once a month. But definitely nowadays, it's like maybe we're lucky enough we get to see each other 3 times a year. I feel like I keep getting on like tangents and stuff. Okay, so for me, I feel like I'm definitely the type of person who needs to justify their purchases, or even like if a friend gives me stuff for whether or not it's like Christmas or it's like birthday gifts and stuff. If it has like more of a utility, then I will try my best to make the most out of it if I can, because I don't want it to be like a waste, nor like I think it's also because I feel guilty. So like if I spend a certain amount of money on a certain thing, I need to justify that price. I know like some things, like let's say 17 albums or like plushes, those things are more like, for me, it's like self-indulgent, where I don't have to justify, as long as it's like not a ridiculous amount. Like I will accumulate plushies every so often, and it's just because it gives me that serotonin boost, because I just like cute things. And then albums, it just gives me serotonin because it's like, for me, I want to support 17. But for devices, anything like that, I feel like I take a little bit of time to switch over to, let's say, a new device. Like it took me almost 7 years to switch laptops, and my laptop was pretty much like losing screws. The fan whirs like really loudly. It takes like 10 minutes to boot up. It takes like 6 minutes to boot up Chrome. I should have switched a lot earlier, but I couldn't justify the price. But even though like I use my laptop like daily, even for the iPad, like I feel like I used it frequently enough to warrant myself to be like, you know, you should get an upgrade, because like if the 32 gigabyte is kind of like hindering you, you can solve it by technically getting a new one, then it should have been fine. But like in the back of my brain, I'm like, if you make the 32 gigabyte work till this point, like why can't you still make it work? Which technically I could have, but it required me to move my giant chunky folders off my iPad onto the drive, which I didn't really want to do, because eventually I want to stop paying for extra space on my drive. I mean my Google Drive. Yeah. I don't know if this video is going to be at all informative. It's just very rambly. It's almost 3 a.m. and I'm probably just losing sanity at this point. What else? I guess like miscellaneous things. I'm excited for Genshin update soon. I want to draw Layla as well for a start to finish video. What else? What else? I guess like errands and stuff, and like the reason why I'm even drawing Masaki with a bag of groceries and he's kind of struggling keeping everything in the bag. So I went to an appointment with my mom just because I am literally the GPS for my family. The appointment was canceled, so my mom was like, how about we go grocery shopping? Like I can buy you something to eat for today, you know, kind of like so you don't have to cook anything. But I was kind of like dead set on cooking now that she was like, let's go grocery shopping. So I was like probing her and asking her because I didn't want to like reveal what I was cooking because like, I don't know, for me, my parents like, they're both very much in the cooking industry kind of thing, so I feel like they're very nitpicky about the way me and my brother cook things, or a little bit like, you know, like the saying, I think it's like you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. So it's like the same thing. Like I watch my parents cook in the same kitchen, they're like bickering and arguing because they don't like the way the other person cooks, which I always find funny. But like it's hard for me and my brother to learn sometimes because like I feel like they just want to take over and be like, you know, let me do it, let me show you, you can do it next time. But there's like never a next time because they keep taking over. So I didn't want to fully reveal the thing that I wanted to cook, so I was like slowly probing her with questions, being like, you know, like alcohol, you don't have like happen to have red wine, do you? Because like I don't drink, and pretty much like no one in my family drinks. My mom occasionally drinks. She drinks like a shot glass of wine every like year or so. It's like very little. But luckily we did have red wine. It was a gift. So I was able to cook hayashi rice, which I really wanted to make before because I had it in Japan once. I think after a long day of like hiking to a temple, we had like refreshing drink. It was like a really wide open, almost like cafeteria style. There's like a vending machine where you can get your tickets and like get your meal, and then I think they call your number and then you go pick up your tray. It was really nice, and they had like really nice, I think it was like bean rice or purple rice kind of idea with like a hayashi or hashed beef, I guess is what's called, which is more like a Western styled, but I believe it's called hayashi rice in Japanese. So that is what I made, and I actually really liked it. So, and I kind of miss like actually cooking. I think even like beginning of pandemic for maybe a year and a half, I did a little bit of cooking here and there, and I did a lot more baking because I really wanted to get into actually learning a little bit more. I think it's like sometimes when you live with your parents, you get lazy about food, even though like my parents don't cook food at home. So I don't know, it's just like habits that are ingrained, because like even before, like I would only cook when my brother and me wanted to cook together so we could both learn the recipe. But today I was like, nope, I'm cooking without you because I really want to make this. And usually for the most part, like I have more wishes to want to learn how to cook more than he does. He's doing it more of like he wants to make large batches with a very efficient way of cooking, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. It seems like because he's the type that eats quickly and a lot, so it's like if you cook something and you eat it immediately and it's all gone within the first 5 minutes, like cooking seems very dreadful. But yeah, this is just a super rambly video. I think I'm just gonna end the voiceover here. I think Masaki's pretty much done. I just added the little color block background, added white to the right side of Masaki, and then yellow and blue to the left side, so just kind of make him pop a little bit and kind of make it a little bit more graphic than it what I initially wanted to have it, just because the background's quite boring. I didn't want to do anything super ambitious because the few illustrations that I want to tackle in the next few week or so require a little bit more research and practicing of drawing backgrounds, so we'll see how that goes. I know today's video is very rambly and kind of just the weird tidbits of like my thoughts in my brain at the moment, which is probably really dumb. But yeah, here is Masaki carrying groceries, struggling a little bit. I'll promise I'll do him justice next time, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!